Hello and welcome to my channel. It's Róisín Cure here with another class on ink and watercolour, and today's lesson is all about values and why they are so indispensable, understanding values, why it's so indispensable to making a really convincing sketch. When I looked out this afternoon on this warm sunny afternoon and I saw the laundry on the line, I had to draw it, even though I had something else lined up. I just love sketching the laundry flapping about in the sunshine. I had some towels on the line and a few pants and socks and things like that. However, I chose not to put any colour at all in the towels because I wanted them to really glow out in all their sun reflecting glory. I'm using a Fude pen by Sailor. The brand is Sailor, and the nib is bent at an angle of 55 degrees and it gives you a lovely variety of line width, from very wide if you use the pen at a low angle to very narrow if you use it in the reverse position. Leave it upright and you get something in between. You can see me putting in the little folds in the towels and the pegs. I'm starting off with these simple shapes, but I do want to get those areas of where the fabric is being tugged, because those are the areas that are creating shadows. My lawn is half mown, half left wild, and the wildflowers at the moment are absolutely glorious. So I'm going to really try and get the effect of those beautiful wildflowers. There's yellow ones, there's pink ones, there's lots of daisies, and there's a lot of sort of brown ones like sedges and I suppose flowering grasses and things like that. So I'm just using my pen to draw them all in. It couldn't be nicer sitting here on a lazy summer's afternoon. Just had a nice nap. And really there's nothing nicer than to just draw what you see. Now you can see that the central pole holding up the middle of the washing line, I've drawn it far too short. But I think I can fix that. You'll see that the wildflowers obey the laws of perspective like anything else. So they're much bigger in the foreground and they get smaller in the background. And I have a fair idea of what I'm going to do with them to make their bright colours shine out. But for now, it's just a question of filling in as many as I can. Trying to avoid the temptation to be neat and methodical and put them in a grid, because of course they're not in a grid. A few little seed heads on the lawn as well, the mown bit of it. I'm going to draw the shadows. I can see the strong blue shadows with the dark blue ink by Reuben called Frida. The colour is called Frida. And I'm going to use this beautiful dip pen to draw out the shadows as well. This was a gift from one of my wonderful students recently. Thank you so much, Hilary. It writes so beautifully. I'm popping on the shape of the shadow quite carefully. I figure if I painted the shadow in this waterproof ink, then I could put the watercolour itself on top and it wouldn't make the shadow run. So that's the plan here. This is the bit where I get to lengthen out that pole and make it a little bit more accurate. Okay, so I'm starting to put the value points in. I'm adding shadows in dark blue ink. So it's a really, really deep, deep blue. The colour is called Frida and the brand is Reuben. And it's a deep, deep bluey grey. It's sort of like a Payne's grey. That's the first, I suppose, nod to the values. You can see I'm doing the shadow of the towel sitting on the gravelly path. I've tipped a little bit of ink into the lid and I'm using a small water brush to fill it in. And the water brush is handy as well. So this is just a little water brush with water in the handle, but I'm not using the water in the handle. I'm just using the ink that I've tipped into the lid. I don't really want to go directly into the bottle because I wouldn't want to contaminate it. So the ink is a tiny bit more dilute and the shadows that the towel has formed with those folds. It's not like deep, almost black, dark navy. It's more of a deep blue. Putting the shadows onto my white night dress. That little shadow cast by the towel next to it. And a few deep shadows underneath the neckline. I'm making this video because one of you lovely subscribers asked me to do something on values. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because I've decided to do some more full length videos where I'm only deleting the scenes where my hand is covering all the action, because there's no point keeping those. Now you can see with my ink I'm starting to go around the laundry itself, the towels, because in the final piece you'll see how the laundry really shines out, and that's the function of the values. It's really getting those deep darks around the fabric. That is what makes it stand out and makes it glow. You have to be very careful not to nick the sides of your shapes that you want to shine out. Don't worry if the ink's a little bit pale or a little bit run out in places. You can always go back and give it a second pass. Going carefully right up to the edges. Beginning to see the effect of towel against the dark. But the more I darken up around the subjects that are in the sunlight, the more they glow out. But super important to keep those edges pristine. Now you can see I made a mistake here at the beginning when I was drawing, but I knew I could just darken up and swallow that mistake with the shadow. And that's what I've done here. Filled in all those mistakes. Now time for a bit of watercolour. These are my watercolours by Reuben. And I'm going to be using this beautiful set of brushes by Fumui. They are absolutely fantastic. They come in a size 12, 8 and 4. And I am loving them. Natural fibres. They hold so much liquid. Watch that brush scoot out that beautiful colour over the page. And this is Aquarius by Reuben. Sorry, Aquarius Green by Reuben. It's one of my favourite shades of green. You can just use it neat. You don't have to mix it because it's very muted as it is. But look how dark I make the paint, where I'm just going around the edge of the objects. That is what makes them shine out. Really dark. And if you work quickly and put fresh paint on when the paint around it is super dark, well, it'll blend in nicely. It won't form unattractive brush strokes that you can see. Filling it all in, little by little, and not allowing it to dry. You've got to pull away those leading edges so that the paint doesn't dry and, as I say, leave a dark brush stroke. That bit on the front and the middle is kind of bothering me, but it's okay because I want to have a little bit of grass there anyway. It's a slightly different colour. So if you are lucky enough to have somewhere you can hang the laundry, then you can have a go at this as well. If not, you can just maybe follow what I'm doing here. So for the grass, I've got sap green with a little Nicolezo yellow, or any deepish yellow, any nice rich yellow for the grass, because the sap green is brilliant, especially at this time of year, but it can be a little bit on the sharp side if you don't mix it with something. I highly recommend putting the shadows on first with ink because, as I said, they won't move. They won't run if you use waterproof ink. Now I'm going to paint over all those flowers because I need to make the grass good and dark. And then if it's dark enough, I'll put on the actual wildflowers in acrylic marker. I'm using Posca pens, really rich, bright colours, but they're very expensive and you can buy knockoff ones online as well. And I did get some. They're not quite as good as the Posca pens brand, but they're good all the same and considerably cheaper. As I go across the sketch, I'm always looking for dark areas that I can darken up, because watercolour can be a little bit on the light side. So you do have to darken it up a little bit. Now look how dark that tree is getting. Really, really deepen it up. And look at how beautiful the Aquarius green is as well. Remember, as with any watercolour, it's very important not to poke at it too much when it's drying. Just let it do its own thing. And that way you will get really, really gorgeous surface textures. Okay, what about the little twiglets at the sides of the evergreen tree? I think it's a beech pine. But I'm going to use my sailor pen. You can see I've got a tatty bit of sellotape at the end so I would know what colour the pen is, which looks awful, but it's very useful to know what colour you're grabbing. I'm using the Emma colour, the dark greenish olivey coloured ink by Roaring Klingner, Sketch Ink again, and I am using it to define these outer twigs because I want them to be super, super stark against the sky. And I'm allowing the ink to run a little bit and flow. And then I'm filling in the area all around it as well. I think I'm using the number 8 squirrel brush in the pack of 3 by Fumui, which, by the way, I'm about to start stocking. I'm very excited. They're just fabulous brushes. Very, very reasonably priced, and they are just superb. I've only used mine for about 2 months at this stage, but I could not be more pleased. They're beautiful. Look, I'm painting even darker, even more darkly around the laundry. And I've painted around the socks and the knickers in a lighter green because the hedge is a lot brighter green. And you can throw on the paint around the objects. The only thing is you have to be super careful not to nick the edges with your paintbrush as you're going around them, or you will lose the effect. Now I'm using my foodie pen to scribble on some foliage, but you can only do that once the underlying paint is dry. Now I'm also giving that lovely scribbly bit for the brambles on top of the hedge, because that's what it looked like. What's going on now? More scribbly bits. So at this stage, I'm getting quite pleased, I suppose, with how dark the areas are around the towels. But now is the time to add a little bit of black ink, because I just feel the sun is so strong, the towels are so bright, so correspondingly the shadows have to recede into deep, deep black. I don't think they would look so dark if it weren't for the presence of the towels, but the towels do make the shadows look very, very deep. Now in this bit I am scribbling on top of the little shadow on the grass some spiky bits, because that makes the grass look really realistic, so I highly recommend it. I'm still filling in some of those inky areas. Not holding back. More scribbles. Scribbles, scribbles, scribbles. I do love a Fude pen for scribbling, and I'm a great woman for a scribble as well, because, you know, when you're doing things like foliage and natural subjects, they really suit the scribbly effect. I did a little bit of shadow to the rocks in the wall, and now I'm putting on a sky. So what I do is I apply some clear water just where I want the blue bits to be, and then I drop in my wash that I have ready made, ready to go, of blue paint, and it could be lots of different shades of blue. I tend to go for the mix that's in my paint box, which is ultramarine and phthalo blue green shade. But it could be anything. It could be cerulean, it could be, there's so many different blues that would look fine. And I'm making some very, very thin skeins of cloud using some ultramarine mixed very, very dilute with a little bit of violet. Very delicately done, very dilute. So I'm putting on a little bit of texture for the grass. And I'm also what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing a little dark brown blob underneath those yellow flowers as well, because I'm looking at them from a side anyway. Now, bear in mind, I am painting in the sunshine, so my colours are drying a lot more efficiently than they normally do, which is just great. Putting in some of those sedges and little dark brown seed heads. Now the paint is dry and nice and rich, so now I can put in some white gel pen. I always have my white gel pen with me. I hate it when I leave it behind by accident. And as you can see, it's very useful for flowers peeking out from the gloom, whether they're white flowers or even yellow flowers, because you can put on the white gel pen, let it dry, and then you can put colours on top. So I'm priming the surface, letting it dry, and then I can put the ultimate colour on top. I figured the yellow would look yellower, the pink would look pinker if it came on a base of white. But you know, the acrylic Posca pens are so strong that they go on top of it really anyway. Love this bit. I love picking out those small little blobs of white with my white gel pen. Now, my phone ran out of charge, so I had to get on with the rest of it without filming it. But all I did at the end was put on loads of those wildflowers with Posca pen. Well, that's about it. Pretty much finished. Happy enough. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but Reuben has disappeared. As soon as he saw me messing around with the camera and the phone and everything, he just ran off. And he's very bold because, you know, I've said it before, it's the only thing he does. It's the only thing he does. Apart from making us all happy, it's, you know, being in my videos is literally the only thing he does. So he's disappeared, and I'm sorry about that because he was lying down in the wildflowers and he looked extremely cute. All, you know, fluffy and... Let me take this off, hold on. He looks extremely cute lying down in the wildflowers. But he's gone now because he's a little so-and-so. And as Paddy says, my son Paddy says, he says, God forbid he should do anything useful ever. Which is kind of true. He's probably gone off to piddle against the plant pot in the sunroom. As usual, he's probably like, might have been useful there for a second. I better go and make an absolute nuisance of myself. Anyway, I have to say I've really, really enjoyed this little laundry sketch. I don't know what it is about laundry, you know, wafting around gently in the breeze on the washing line that just, you know, sets my neurons kind of, you know, firing off on all cylinders. But it does. And yeah, it's all about the values, isn't it? It's all about the values. It's all about helping things seem brighter against the dark, I guess. That's what it's all about. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. And I hope you've enjoyed sharing this little piece of summer in my back garden with me. That, by the way, is my studio. So yeah, it's all very lovely out here today. We kind of get paid back in the summer, in June, for all the horrendous weather that we put up with in well, most of the rest of the year, apart from April, May, June, July, August, okay, September, yeah, they're usually pretty good. Okay, guys, we will leave it at that, and I will talk to you soon. Well, look who I found trying to run away again. I don't know, this dog, I think he might be very shy or something. Because, like, literally, I started putting my phone in the tripod holder and he started running away. Is it because I'm a bit shouty when I'm on the mic? Is that the problem? Maybe that's the problem. Anyway, he's the best boy. Look how cute he is. He looks like an otter. He looks like a white otter. You know, the ones you see on Instagram and all. Well, I get a lot of otters in my feed because I love otters. Anyway, let me just show you that pic. Stay. Stay. All right, my time is up. He really wants to get down. He hates his job. Reuben, you could resign, you know. Hand in your notice. Anyway, leave it at that. Bye. Now, before you nip off and go about your day, I want to tell you that on my website, there are loads of free classes that you can download and have a look at and enjoy at your leisure anytime you like. You can also sign up for 2 weeks of free membership of my sketch club. That's 4 classes. Every Monday we have an on-location sketching class, and every Wednesday we have an illustration class. You've nothing to lose. There are no strings, and we'd love to have you. Hope to see you then. I'll put the link in the description.